Think of the children.
What?
Wait.
Nice his fate.
Okay, let's go. It's all a big misunderstanding.
Right. My favorite.
Now no one gets the pole. Cool it. Talk to me, okay? You fucking terrorist!
Lost tooth.
Mount.
Copy that.
I owe you one. Go, run. Never leaves. Directors. Into opportunity.
Hey, man.
Judge me. I took it. Don't bring a machete to a... What's up, nephew?
I got shot in the fucking leg.
All right. So here come my dad.
Who said
My family, making memories.
family, man? It doesn't fucking matter my peace of mind. For making memories. What a trail of the town is for my business. Fuck you. And do you wrong, bitch. Fuck face. You. Fuck you. I'm. Don't fuck with him.
Are they gonna be okay?
not gonna.
Married.
Hey guys, today we're diving headfirst into the chaotic, bone-crunching world of Nobody to from 2025. If you thought Hutch Mansell was done with his retired assassin gig after the first film, well, you clearly haven't been paying attention to how sequels work. Get ready for more everyday frustrations transforming into brutal efficiency. This recap is packed with all the gritty details, the unexpected alliances, and enough flying fists to make a pugilist proud, so buckle up. Because things are about to get delightfully messy. I put a lot of work into these, so if you like what you see, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated. No worries if not. So, Nobody to kicks off with Hutch Mansell, our favorite suburban dad who just happens to be a retired government cleaner, doing his absolute best to live a normal life. We're talking peak suburban bliss here. Annoyingly chipper neighbors, soul-crushing traffic jams, and the existential dread of a perpetually clogged kitchen sink. Honestly, you'd think after saving his family and taking down a Russian crime lord, he'd at least get plumbing that works. But no, the universe, in its infinite wisdom, demands he wrestle with a leaky faucet instead of actual supervillains. Becca, his ever-patient wife, just sips her coffee, probably wondering if the drain is more of a threat than any mob boss he's faced. The quiet hum of the suburban morning is almost unnerving. You can practically hear the collective sigh of a man just wanting to enjoy his morning without a side of impending doom. Or at least without needing a wrench. He's trying, bless his heart, to suppress the urge to use his particular set of skills to unclog it permanently, which would definitely void the warranty. The scene really leans into the irony, showing us that for Hutch, domesticity can be just as, if not more, frustrating than a full-blown gunfight. The silence is thick, broken only by the drip, drip of water, each drop a tiny reminder of the calm before the storm, a storm we all know is inevitably coming. He glances at a half-eaten bowl of cereal, a tiny, poignant detail suggesting a life he's desperately trying to cling to. The tranquility, naturally, doesn't last. Hutch receives a rather nondescript package, the kind that screams definitely not a birthday present from Aunt Carol. It's delivered by a visibly nervous courier, who probably sensed the impending doom emanating from Hutch's porch. Inside, Hutch finds an antique, seemingly harmless music box. But we, the savvy viewers, know better. The metallic click as he opens it isn't just a spring mechanism, it's the sound of his past reaching out. This isn't just any music box, it plays a haunting, almost discordant tune, subtly echoing the dissonant life Hutch has tried to bury. The box itself is intricately carved, hinting at a craftsmanship that goes beyond a simple curio. As his fingers trace the cold metal, a small, nearly imperceptible glint catches his eye, a tiny, almost invisible symbol etched into the side. It's the insignia of the auditor program, his old outfit. Talk about a passive-aggressive hello. It's like his former employers are saying, hey, remember all those morally ambiguous jobs we do? The air suddenly feels heavier, the suburban birdsong replaced by the chilling echo of what this box truly represents. It's not just an object, it's a summons, a ghost from a life he swore he'd left behind, and the palpable tension in the room tells us he feels it too. The silence that follows the music box's chime is deafening, punctuated only by his shallow breaths. Turns out, that music box wasn't just for show. With a soft whirring sound, it projects a flickering, low-resolution hologram, because, of course, a simple text message is far too pedestrian for retired assassins. The figure on the projection is stern, cloaked in shadow, and speaks in a heavily modulated voice, laying out a classic "your past has caught up to you" scenario. It seems a shadowy organization, let's call them the Collectors because originality is hard, is systematically targeting former auditors. They're trying to eradicate all loose ends, or perhaps recruit them for some nefarious new purpose. The metallic whir of the projector mechanism is the only sound accompanying the ominous message, making the revelation even more chilling. Hutch's face hardens. The domestic peace visibly crumbling around him. The speaker mentions an unsettled debt from a mission Hutch thought was long buried, a mission involving a high-value target who apparently had very, very persistent relatives. It's a classic case of just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. The holographic projection crackles with static, emphasizing the clandestine nature of this communication. Hutch clenches his jaw, the tiny clench muscles in his face working overtime, a silent battle raging between the quiet life he built and the storm he knows is about to break. You can practically hear the inner monologue. Great, another Tuesday. The details are vague enough to be terrifying, hinting at a global network and resources that make previous antagonists look like a small town. Knitting Club, he knows this, isn't just a warning, it's a declaration of war, specifically on anyone who ever held his particular job title. After the holographic drop-in, Hutch tries to act normal, which for him means being slightly more distracted than usual at the dinner table. Becca, ever perceptive, notices his distant gaze, probably thinking he's just stressed about the mortgage or whether he remembered to take out the trash. Little does she know, he's mentally calculating escape routes and threat probabilities, all while pretending to care about his son's school project on the history of doorknobs. The clinking of cutlery, the soft murmur of family chatter, it all feels incredibly fragile now. He sees his family, oblivious and happy, and the protective instinct that makes him so dangerous begins to simmer. It's a poignant moment, showcasing the constant tightrope walk he performs between his two lives. The unspoken fear hangs heavy in the air, a silent alarm only he can hear. Every laugh from his daughter, every mundane complaint from his son, just solidifies his resolve. He's not going to let these collectors touch them, even if it means dusting off every single special skill he thought he'd retired permanently. He even catches himself mentally cataloging the kitchen knives, assessing their potential as improvised weapons, a habit he's tried hard to break. The tactile feel of the warm dinner plate in his hands is a grounding force, but even that can't entirely pull him back from the precipice of his thoughts. The background noise of the TV, usually a comforting drone, now feels like a thin veneer over a very dangerous reality, knowing he can't face this particular brand of organized chaos alone. Hutch makes the sensible choice. He calls in the cavalry, or rather, his extremely unconventional family. He slips into his garage, a sanctuary of forgotten projects and power tools, and pulls out a burner phone from a cunningly disguised hiding spot. The soft click of the phone casing is a stark contrast to the earlier music box. First up, his dad, David, who's probably busy out Macaulay Culkining his retirement home with booby traps. Then, his brother, Harry, who's likely somewhere very warm, counting his dividends. The conversation is terse, filled with clipped sentences and coded language, the kind only former Black Ops family members understand. The old firm is calling, Hutch mutters, his voice a low rumble, the metallic tang of urgency in his tone. The response is equally understated but firm. We're in. It's a beautiful moment of unspoken understanding, a family reunion none of them wanted, but all are ready for. The clanking of tools in the background of the garage, usually just background noise, now feels like a prelude to battle. The silent agreement is almost palpable. A bond forged in shared violence and unwavering loyalty. He knows he's essentially signing them up for another dance with death, but there's no other choice. The way he handles the phone, with a practiced ease, tells us he's done this countless times before. This isn't just a phone call, it's the activation of a very deadly, very dysfunctional family business. He switches off the phone with a decisive snap, the small sound echoing in the stillness, signifying the end of the quiet and the beginning of the storm. The scent of oil and old dust fills the air, a fitting backdrop for the plans about to be hatched. The collectors, clearly not big fans of subtlety, decide to make their presence known the old-fashioned way, a good old-fashioned ambush. Hutch is waiting at a deserted bus stop because apparently, even ex-auditors have to wait for public transport sometimes, when three rather beefy gentlemen decide to interrupt his contemplation of the late-night timetable. The metallic click of their weapons being cocked is almost drowned out by the whirring of the flickering street lamp above. "We have a message," one growls, trying to sound intimidating. Hutch just sighs. You can practically see the exhaustion on his face. The silent canter guy just catch a boss in peace expression. What follows is a symphony of bone-crunching choreography, a brutal ballet, where every punch lands with a satisfying thud and every kick connects with a sickening crack. Hutch, still in his nobody persona, starts with everyday objects. A discarded umbrella becomes a surprisingly effective bludgeon. A newspaper stand turns into an impromptu shield. The whoosh of a swing, the sharp impact of flesh against metal, the muffled grunts of the assailants, it's all there. He moves with a fluid, almost bored efficiency, dismantling his attackers limb by limb. It's not flashy. It's devastatingly practical. The fight is over in less than 90 seconds, leaving three unconscious figures sprawled artistically around the bus stop. All thanks to a man who probably just wanted to get home before his favorite show started. The silence that descends afterwards is punctuated only by the distant hum of the city, and Hutch brushing off his jacket, probably wondering if he missed his bus. Hutch, ever the meticulous professional, doesn't just leave his assailants for the municipal cleanup crew. He gently persuades one of them to join him for a chat in a conveniently abandoned warehouse, because where else would you conduct a clandestine interrogation, right? The air is thick with dust and the metallic scent of rust. The poor goon is tied to a chair, probably wishing he'd chosen a career in something less prone to face-to-face encounters with retired auditors. Hutch's interrogation technique is less about brute force and more about psychological warfare. He doesn't need to break bones. He just needs to break wills. His voice is calm, almost conversational, but with an underlying steel that makes every question feel like a threat. The guy, let's call him Larry, eventually spills the beans, revealing that the collectors are a global consortium of former intelligence agents and private military contractors. They've been hired by the ultra-wealthy elite to eliminate any loose ends from various black ops programs worldwide, essentially a corporate cleanup crew with extreme prejudice. Larry's voice cracks as he confesses, the subtle rustle of chains accompanying his every nervous twitch. The stakes just went from local mob boss to global conspiracy, which, let's be honest, is a Tuesday for Hutch. He gets a name, a location, and a sense of the sheer scale of the operation he's up against. The information is a chilling hum in the otherwise silent warehouse, confirming Hutch's worst fears. He leaves Larry with a warning, a whispered promise of what happens if he ever crosses paths with an auditor again. The metallic clang of a dropped wrench emphasizing the finality of his words. Soon after, Hutch meets up with his family reinforcement, his brother Harry, looking surprisingly well-rested for a man who constantly flirts with death, and his father David, who is already polishing his antique firearms with a disturbingly gleeful expression. They convene in a hidden bunker, which, let's be real, every family needs for those just in case the government comes after us scenarios. Harry, ever the jokester, asks Hutch if he's tried turning his life off and on again to fix the problem. The camaraderie is immediate, a dark humor shared between men who have seen and done too much. The tactile feel of old wood and cold metal fills the bunker, a comfort zone for these unusual individuals. David, meanwhile, is already running through tactical diagrams on a dusty whiteboard, his gruff voice cutting through Harry's light-hearted banter. These collectors, David grunts, they're well-funded. Too well-funded. The metallic click of a pen hitting the table punctuates his grim pronouncement. Hutch's face is a mask of grim determination. The trio strategizes, mapping out the known targets and potential weaknesses of this new shadowy organization. The metallic click of David reloading a shotgun, the almost imperceptible rustle of Harry adjusting his tactical vest, these sounds are their language. It's clear that despite their attempts at normal lives, They're all itching for a bit of action, or at least a chance to blow something up in a controlled environment. The exchange of information is swift and efficient, each contributing their unique perspective. Harry's intel network, David's historical knowledge of these black market groups, and Hutch's recent encounter paint a grim but clear picture. This isn't just a fight, it's a reckoning, and the Mansell family is officially open for business. The subtle scent of gun oil and stale coffee hangs in the air, a familiar aroma of impending chaos. Their first move, a classic diversion, courtesy of David Mansell, who still has a penchant for pyrotechnics. Dressed in a suspiciously clean utility worker uniform, because who questions a guy in a high-vis vest? He expertly plants a small, controlled explosive device near one of the collector's known data hubs. The metallic clang as he sets the timer is precise, almost musical. The ensuing boom is less subtle. A resounding crack rips through the night, momentarily shaking the camera. It's loud enough to cause a localized power outage and send security guards scrambling, but contained enough not to trigger a full-blown terror alert. David, meanwhile, just saunters away, whistling a jaunty tune, probably mentally calculating the structural integrity of the building. The chaos that erupts, the shouts of guards, the blaring of alarms, the whoosh of emergency vehicles arriving, is exactly what Hutch and Harry need. It's a beautiful symphony of destruction orchestrated by a man who really should have been a demolition expert. The subtle tremor of the ground, the scent of ozone after the blast, the flickering streetlights all contribute to the perfect cover. This isn't just a distraction. It's David's way of saying, "Hello, boys, Grandpa's here to play." The sheer audacity of it, a man of his age causing such a calculated disruption, is truly a sight to behold. He's like a mischievous elder statesman of mayhem, proving that age is just a number when you have enough cipher and a good plan. The objective is simple: draw attention away from Hutch and Harry's entry point, which it does spectacularly. He disappears into the shadows, a ghost in a safety vest, while David is busy playing urban pyrotechnician. Hutch and Harry are making their move. They infiltrate the target building, a sleek, unassuming office block that probably processes incredibly boring financial data by day and houses global conspiracies by night. They opt for the classic, and surprisingly quiet, elevator shaft rappel, because why use the front door when you can dangle precariously? The only sounds are the soft, almost rhythmic scraping of their ropes and their hushed, tactical whispers, each metallic click of their gear barely audible. Clad in dark tactical gear, they move like shadows, completely unnoticed amidst the external chaos of blaring alarms and flashing lights. Harry, with his usual dry wit, mutters something about wishing he'd brought a snack. Hutch just gives him the look. The descent is smooth, controlled, a testament to their years of experience. The air grows colder as they go deeper, the metallic tang of old elevator grease filling their nostrils. They're heading for the server room, the heart of the collector's operation. The glow of distant emergency lights occasionally illuminates their path, creating eerie, fleeting silhouettes. This isn't about brute force yet. It's about precision, stealth, and exploiting the chaos David so expertly created. The whoosh of air as they pass each floor is almost silent, a stark contrast to the thundering explosion outside. They reach the bottom, landing with barely a whisper, ready to unleash their own brand of havoc. The soft thud of their boots on the concrete floor is the only indication of their arrival. It's a ballet of darkness and suppressed energy, a perfect setup for the mayhem that's about to follow. Inside the server room, it's a race against the clock. Harry, a wizard with tech despite his retired status, is furiously downloading critical data onto a laptop, his fingers a blur across the keyboard. The soft clicking of keys is offset by the growing sounds of alarm and approaching footsteps. Meanwhile, Hutch, bless his perpetually tired heart, is doing what he does best, protecting the valuable asset. He's armed with an improvised weapon, a sturdy, discarded pipe, because who needs fancy guns when you have a perfectly good pipe and a bad attitude? The first wave of guards hits, and it's a brutal symphony of blows. The metallic clang of the pipe connecting with body armor, the guttural grunts of the guards, the sharp crack of bones, it's all incredibly visceral. Hutch moves like a storm, or whirlwind of calculated violence. He parries, he strikes, he disarms, using the environment to his advantage. The server room becomes his arena, rows of flashing lights and humming machines serving as a surreal backdrop to the carnage. "Hurry up, Harry!" Hutch yells, his voice strained but firm, amidst the clamor, the sound of bodies hitting the floor with dull thuds. Harry, unflustered, just grunts back, almost there, "Big brother, don't rush genius." The tension is palpable, the frantic clicking of Harry's keyboard battling against the thudding impacts of Hutch's fight. This isn't just a fight. It's a desperate stand, each blow delivered by Hutch a ticking second bolt for Harry. The smell of sweat and fear mixes with the sterile scent of the server room. Finally, Harry shouts, "Got it," just as Hutch delivers a final, bone-shattering blow, silencing the last of the immediate threats. The sudden quiet is almost deafening, broken only by the whirring of the servers and Hutch's ragged breaths. What a guy dart with the data secured. It's time for the least graceful part of any mission, the exit strategy, which in this case involves a whole lot of running and a shocking amount of gunfire. The collectors have clearly realized they've been had, and now the entire building is crawling with reinforcements. Hutch and Harry sprint through the chaotic office floors, a hail of bullets whizzing past their heads, impacting with sharp metallic clangs against desks and concrete pillars. The shattering glass from windows and monitors adds a delightful symphony of destruction to their escape. "Remind me again why we don't just order takeout from home," Harry shouts over the din, narrowly ducking a laser sight. Hutch, ever the pragmatic one, just throws a fire extinguisher that explodes in a cloud of white powder, momentarily blinding their pursuers. The tactile sensation of the ground trembling from explosions and heavy footsteps is ever present. They slide down banisters, kick open emergency exits, and generally treat the office building like an obstacle course designed by a particularly disgruntled architect. The whoosh of air as bullets pass by their ears is a constant, terrifying reminder of how close they are to permanent retirement. It's a beautifully choreographed panic, with every near-miss feeling incredibly real. They jump into a waiting getaway car, probably stolen by David earlier, and speed off into the night, the sound of screeching tires and distant sirens fading behind them. The metallic roar of the engine as they accelerate away feels like a breath of fresh air after the claustrophobic confines of the building. Another day, another successful collection of data, albeit with considerably more bullet holes than preferred. Just another thrilling Tuesday for the Mansell brothers. Back in the dusty, comfortable confines of their bunker, the Mansell trio dives into the data Harry extracted. And boy, is it a doozy. Projected onto multiple screens, glowing with an almost unsettling blue light, are complex digital maps, schematics of secret facilities, and dossiers on individuals who probably deserve a good talking to, or perhaps a more permanent kind of silence. The soft hum of the computers and the subtle clicking of Harry's keyboard are the only sounds as they piece together the collector's grand plan. It turns out, this group isn't just about eliminating loose ends. They're building their own global shadow government, systematically removing anyone who could interfere with their rise to power. Think Illuminati light, but with more practical weaponry and less fancy robes. David points out a key location on a map, a heavily fortified black site in a remote corner of the world. This, he grunts, is where they're consolidating their power. Their main hub. The metallic clang of a pen hitting the table punctuates his grim pronouncement. Hutch's face is a mask of grim determination. The data reveals former intelligence chiefs, rogue military generals, and even a few ridiculously wealthy tech moguls are involved. It's a who's who of people you really don't want angry. Harry discovers a specific codename for Hutch within the data. The Wraith. Apparently, he left quite the impression back in the day. The sheer scale of the operation is staggering, a veritable web of influence stretching across continents. They realize this isn't just about survival anymore. It's about stopping a potential global catastrophe, one brutal punch at a time. The faint scent of stale coffee and old paper fills the air, a scent of impending doom and strategy. Just when they think they have a handle on things, the collectors remind Hutch just how personal this fight is. A small, menacing surveillance drone, the kind that probably costs more than a decent car, hovers silently over his suburban home at night. Its single red eye blinks ominously, a silent promise of danger. The quiet whir of its rotors is a chilling underscore to the peaceful domestic scene inside, where his family is blissfully asleep, completely unaware they're being watched. Hutch, sensing the shift in the air, the subtle change in the energy of his home, steps outside. He catches a glimpse of the drone, a black silhouette against the moon. The metallic hum of its tiny motors is almost imperceptible, yet to Hutch, it's a blaring alarm. The message is crystal clear. They know where he lives, they know about his family, and they're willing to cross that line. This isn't just a threat, it's a direct challenge, a punch straight to his most vulnerable spot. His resolve hardens further, transforming his tired sigh into a deep, primal growl. The scent of damp earth and night air suddenly feels tainted by the cold, calculated threat. He watches it for a moment, a silent promise etched on his face, before it silently glides away. The metallic click of his jaw as he clenches it is the only sound, a stark reminder that the nobody facade is about to shatter completely. The fight has officially reached his doorstep, and the quiet suburban street is about to become a battlefield. With his family now directly in the crosshairs, Hutch goes into full auditor mode. His garage transforms into a makeshift armory, a symphony of metallic clicks and precise movements. He meticulously cleans and assembles a custom shotgun, its components gleaming under the harsh fluorescent lights. This isn't just a weapon, it's an extension of himself, carefully modified for maximum impact. Harry and David are equally busy, preparing their own preferred implements of destruction. David, of course, has an air of antique, yet surprisingly effective, firearms, each lovingly maintained. Harry, ever the tech guy, modifies some drones for offensive capabilities, a mischievous grin playing on his lips. The scent of gun oil and cleaning solvents fills the air, a familiar aroma of impending battle. The metallic clang of tools, the satisfying click of a magazine locking into place, the whoosh of a blade being tested, these are the sounds of men preparing to face impossible odds. They're not just gearing up, they're shedding the last vestiges of their normal lives, embracing the warriors they truly are. Hutch checks his knives, feeling the cold steel against his fingertips, the familiar way to comfort. They synchronize their watches, plan their entry, and review their targets. The stakes are higher than ever, and the calm, focused determination on their faces tells us they're ready to unleash hell. He knows this is a one-way trip for many of the collectors, and they intend to make it a memorable one. The subtle hum of Harry's modified drones, a menacing lullaby, underscores their readiness. The time for talking, or rather, not talking, is over. The Mansell trio launches their full frontal assault on the collector's main facility, a fortress nestled in a desolate, forgotten landscape. It's a symphony of explosions, gunfire, and pure, unadulterated mayhem. Hutch, a human battering ram, kicks in a heavy steel door with a resounding metallic clang that practically rattles your teeth. He leads the charge, his custom shotgun barking like a rabid dog, spitting fire and lead. David and Harry are right behind him, a deadly dance of synchronized chaos. The air is immediately thick with the acrid scent of gunpowder and the shouts of startled guards. Every bullet impacts with a sharp crack against concrete. Every explosion sends tremors through the ground, the concussive force rattling the very foundations of the facility. The whirring of Harry's drones provides aerial support, buzzing like angry hornets as they neutralize snipers and heavy weapon emplacements. It's an absolute bloodbath, a beautifully choreographed ballet of brutal efficiency. Hutch moves through the facility like a force of nature, a whirlwind of fists, feet, and shotgun blasts. The whoosh of his shotgun cycling, the metallic clang of shell casings hitting the floor, the guttural screams of those unfortunate enough to stand in his way, it's all incredibly immersive. He's not just fighting, He's sending a message, etched in blood and broken bones. This is the nobody unleashed, a relentless, unstoppable force protecting his family, his way. The entire facility becomes a playground for his particular brand of justice, the sounds of battle deafening, yet strangely satisfying. Inside the labyrinthine corridors of the facility, Hutch finds himself in a gauntlet of collectors' operatives. This is where he truly shines, turning mundane objects into instruments of brutal efficiency. A fire extinguisher becomes a blinding, concussive weapon, its metallic whoosh followed by the muffled gasps of disoriented enemies. A loose pipe transforms into a rhythmic bludgeon, each metallic clang against a skull or ribcage echoing in the confined space. He's not just fighting, he's adapting, improvising, making every single move count. The sounds are raw, unfiltered. The sharp crack of breaking glass, the sickening thud of a body hitting the wall, the pained grunts of his assailants. He moves with a predatory grace, a whirlwind of controlled chaos. Harry provides overwatch from a higher vantage point, sniping targets of opportunity. His rifles report a sharp, precise crack. David, meanwhile, is probably busy setting up another surprise for anyone trying to flank them, probably involving tripwires and strategically placed buckets. The tactile feel of dust and debris kicked up by the melee fills the air, a gritty backdrop to the visceral combat. Hutch gets a few scrapes, a minor cut here and there, but his focus is absolute. He's a man on a mission, and nothing, absolutely nothing, will stand in his way. The relentless barrage of his attacks, the fluid transitions between weapons, and his almost casual brutality make for an unforgettable sequence. It's like watching a particularly violent, yet strangely elegant, ballet of destruction. The ringing in his ears from the constant impacts and gunshots is almost a familiar melody now. Finally, Hutch reaches the nerve center of the collectors, a sleek, minimalist command center that looks like it was designed by a Bond villain's interior decorator. He's battered, bruised, but absolutely unyielding. There, sitting calmly behind a glowing console, is the architect of all this mayhem, a sophisticated, cold-eyed figure known only as the Curator. The Curator, looking far too composed for someone whose entire organization is currently being dismantled by one grumpy dad, explains their philosophy. They believe in controlled chaos, in guiding humanity from the shadows, and in eliminating outliers like Hutch who disrupt their carefully crafted world order. It's a classic supervillain monologue, delivered with an almost clinical detachment. You were a variable, Mansell, the Curator purrs, a necessary reset. But now, you're an anomaly. The metallic hum of the servers and the soft clicks of the console buttons are the only sounds besides their voices. Hutch, ever the man of few words, just tightens his grip on his shotgun. You came for my family, he growls, the raw edge in his voice more terrifying than any threat. The Curator tries to appeal to his past, offering him a place in their new world order. You understand what we do, Auditor. You were built for this, but Hutch isn't buying it. The tactile sensation of the cold steel of his weapon is a familiar comfort, a stark contrast to the Curator's detached philosophical ramblings. This isn't about power or control for Hutch. It's about protecting his home, his sanctuary. The air is thick with tension, a battle of ideologies about to erupt into very physical violence. The metallic clack of the Curator pressing a hidden button indicates the end of pleasantries. The Curator, it turns out, isn't just a mastermind. They're also surprisingly adept at close-quarters combat, which, honestly, is just rude. They spring into action, moving with a lithe, almost predatory grace. The fight is immediate and devastating, a blur of fists, feet, and tactical maneuvers amidst the glowing holographic displays of the command center. The metallic clang of their blows as they parry and strike is sharp and unforgiving. Hutch, despite his injuries, meets them blow for blow, his fighting style raw and relentless, honed by years of necessity. The tactile feeling of their bodies colliding, the whoosh of air as a punch narrowly misses, the sharp crack of bone, it's all incredibly visceral. Holographic maps shatter into pixelated dust as they crash against consoles. Screens explode with a satisfying pop and fizzle, showering sparks everywhere. The fight isn't elegant. It's a desperate, brutal brawl, each combatant pushing the other to their absolute limit. The curator reveals a hidden blade, its metallic glint catching the harsh light, adding another layer of danger. Hutch, of course, has a counter, deflecting the attack with a swift, brutal strike. The sound of their grunts, the strained breaths, the occasional metallic thud of a dropped weapon, it's a symphony of survival. The room is rapidly turning into a junkyard of shattered tech and broken ambitions. Just when it seems the curator might gain the upper hand, Hutch channels every ounce of his pent-up frustration and rage into a final, devastating series of blows. The metallic thud of the curator's body hitting the main console, silencing the last of the humming screens, marks the end of their reign. The sudden quiet is almost deafening, broken only by Hutch's ragged, triumphant breaths. He stands victorious, a bloodied, exhausted, but ultimately unbroken figure, surrounded by the wreckage of a global conspiracy. Mic drop, or rather, curator drop. With the curator dealt with, Hutch takes a moment, ragged breaths filling the suddenly silent command center. David and Harry then sweep in, efficient as ever, securing remaining data drives and ensuring no lingering threats. David, ever the pragmatist, is already diffusing a hidden self-destruct mechanism, its metallic click indicating its deactivation. Harry, meanwhile, is doing some digital damage control, erasing any trace of their presence. The faint smell of ozone and burnt electronics hangs in the air, a testament to the recent chaos. They've decimated the collectors, but Hutch knows this kind of shadow organization never truly dies. It merely retreats, regroups, and inevitably returns with a new, equally menacing name. He sees a flash of the drone footage from earlier, playing on a broken screen, showing his house, his family. It reminds him exactly why he's here. The metallic clang of David's boots on the debris-strewn floor is a steady, reassuring sound. They share a quiet moment, a silent acknowledgement of the battle won, and the understanding that the war, for people like them, never truly ends. The soft hum of distant alarms, though fading, serves as a poignant reminder of the perpetual fight. Hutch runs a hand over his face, feeling the grit and sweat, the small cuts stinging. He's tired, but a new resolve burns in his eyes. He's accepted his role, not as a nobody, but as a necessary force in a world constantly trying to pull itself apart. They gather their gear, ready to melt back into the shadows, leaving behind a very clear message: don't mess with the Mansells. The subtle crunch of glass under their boots as they exit is the final note in this destructive symphony. Days later, Hutch is back in his suburban habitat, pushing a grocery cart through the fluorescent-lit aisles of a supermarket. He looks tired, a few fresh scars peeking out from his collar, but there's a newfound calm about him. He picks up a box of cereal, then pauses, almost instinctively checking for potential threats in the frozen foods aisle. Old habits, apparently, die harder than supervillains. The ambient sounds of a busy supermarket, the beeping of scanners, the muffled chatter of shoppers, the gentle whir of refrigerator units, may now sound a little different to him, perhaps more vibrant, more precious. He's still a nobody to the outside world, blending into the crowd, but internally, something has shifted. He's no longer fighting against his true nature. He's integrated it. The tactile feel of the plastic card handle, the mundane weight of a bag of apples, these simple sensations now carry a deeper meaning. He glances at a reflection in a refrigerated display, seeing not just a suburban dad, but also the auditor, the protector. It's a quiet acceptance, a silent understanding that his dual life isn't a curse, but a necessary balance. He sees his daughter giggling in the bakery section, utterly oblivious, and a faint smile touches his lips. He's still a family man, still annoyed by traffic, but he's also a guardian, ready to unleash hell if anyone threatens his peace. The metallic clink of coins as he pays for his groceries is just a subtle reminder that some battles are worth fighting, even if they never truly end. The suburban hum now has a quiet strength, a resilient peace forged in fire. And so, as the credits roll on Nobody 2, we're left with a profound thought. Hutch Mansell isn't just a retired auditor. He's a symbol of finding peace not by denying who you are, but by embracing all facets of your being. It's a reminder that even in the most mundane lives, extraordinary strength can lie dormant, waiting for the right, or perhaps wrong, moment to emerge. His journey teaches us that true strength isn't just about physical prowess, but the unwavering commitment to protect what truly matters. We all have a nobody and a somebody within us, and sometimes, the harmony comes from letting them both exist. It's about fighting for your quiet moments and cherishing the people who make life worth protecting. A truly inspirational and thoughtful conclusion.